Have extraterrestrials visited us here on Earth? Well, 14 men from 7 different countries participated in a panel discussion to describe why they believe UFOs have visited Earth. And these aren't guys they just picked up off the street. The panel includes former governor of Arizona, Fife Symington, who is one of many Arizonans who said they saw UFOs back in 1997 during an episode that is popularly referred to as the Phoenix Lights.
Major sighting here.
We want the United States government to stop perpetuating the myth that all UFOs can be explained away in down-to-earth and conventional terms. Instead, our country needs to reopen its official investigation that it shut down in 1969.
I read about this incident you had in 1951, and you said you saw literally hundreds of unidentifiable flying objects.
Yes, they were flying quite high. How high we couldn't tell because we couldn't get anywhere near their altitude. But they were either very large craft way up or smaller crafts still well above what we could get to.
So what is it that you want to see the Obama administration release? What is it specifically? What do you think is there that we need to see?
Well, the other nations, and this has been a global phenomenon, other nations and just in recent history, the Belgian nation, the French, the Brazilians, the Mexicans, the Argentines, all of their files have been opened up, and there's no reason in the world why the U.S. files, the leading nation in the world in this period, should have been reticent in opening ours too, except special interest groups.
Peter, do you think the events in Great Britain will open up things in other places?
It's an encouraging sign, Larry. It may suggest that there's a movement afoot to mete out information piecemeal, maybe to prepare us for something that the government knows and would like to have us know more about.
Oh, hair story the Chicago Tribune exclusively broke on New Year's Day is garnering attention around the world.
Bob Russerman, in your files, do you have anything relating to alien forms?
In our files, yes. Bufora have a vast number of files with reports of encounters of alleged alien beings, entities, and alleged abduction experiences.
You believe them?
Bufora are a strictly objective organization. It's not about belief. It's where the facts and the evidence takes you.
You go back and look at the number of people who seem to have seen such people. It isn't just like one person said this and one person says that. It's 50 people in the U.S. and 20 people in Germany and 300 people in Brazil and 80 people in Africa say this.
Yeah. The people out there on other planets are no scarier than the people on other continents when white people first sailed out from Europe and discovered that there were people with other skin color. That's what we've learned from Henry Deacon and Sergeant Clifford Stone and all these other whistleblowers, that we're not dealing with scary alien insectoid creatures. There may be a few humans that are a little bit scary to introduce yourself to when you first meet them, but the vast majority of them, according to what we're hearing, are really amazing people. They're friendly people, and they're compassionate.
The release follows hot on the heels of the statement by the Vatican just yesterday, I think it was, stating that they felt it was okay to believe in aliens and UFOs and life elsewhere in our galaxy. This is an interesting 1-2 punch.
Others, though, believe these sightings are something bigger, something from another galaxy.
We're talking about hundreds of thousands of cases, and I don't think there's a single day where there aren't very strong cases that are reported somewhere in the world. The Air Force did respond in scrambled jets, and it was imaged and photographed over, I believe there were 9 of them at one point that were actually seen in formation.
Dr. Stephen M. Greer is the founder of the Disclosure Project. His organization collects information on unexplained sightings from all over the world, including the more than 2,000 reports around D.C. in the summer of '52, now known as the Washington Nationals. This famous photo shows 7 bright objects flying near the Capitol Dome. Radar also picked up 4 more objects in Beltsville and in Herndon. Puzzling objects Dr. Greer believes are behind a cover-up at the highest level.
Everyone who I know who were military or intel were told, you didn't see this, you were not on the squadron that went up, the radar operators were told, This never happened.
The Washington Nationals in 1952, the Phoenix Lights in 1997, the saucer over Chicago's O'Hare Airport in 2006, and the sightings in Texas earlier this year could just be the beginning.
I'm now aware that there's a multilateral plan for disclosure, and it goes way beyond just Dr. Greer. In fact, the things I'm hearing about now have nothing to do with him. So it's like a horse race, and it's really going to be a question of who gets across the finish line first. And there's a variety of competitors, and some of the things that are being planned that I've heard about are, I mean, it is just going to blow people's minds so far out of the water. It's going to hit the public like nothing before. It's going to be amazing.
The real question here that we've been addressing is, have we been visited? Are we, since we are now a spacefaring civilization, having only gone to our own moon, but have our visitors, the aliens, have they come to us? And all the evidence says yes.
You are apparently directly aware of extraterrestrials who are not strictly negative. In fact, you mentioned to us before that a lot of them are positive. And we know they're out there, we know they're visiting us. And while I don't believe they're going to just come down and save us from problems, there appears to be a greater reality that we are all involved in, and that this situation, my understanding is that the situations we're going through are going to be instrumental in helping to purge the negative influences on this planet that have been prevailing for so long, not make them worse. There will be certainly a crisis time that we go through, but that's part of a passage into a more organized and enlightened society.
What happens with this world as a whole is really almost a natural event. But all this fighting and all this suppression is temporary, and even if you don't do anything outwardly, the change will still take place. The birth of the new world, not the new world order like Bush, but the new world will still happen very shortly. And you should feel this and be aware of this.
With my belief and the belief of many other people that I have great respect for, that the world is going through I'll call it a meltdown. We're going through a change. The alternative thought, radio and television shows and motion pictures are all, and books and movies are all fraught with the fact that something major is going to happen in 2010 or 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar. Earth changes. Apocalyptic Christians say about the same thing, that the end times are here or coming. We've heard very, very dire things about the economic posture of the United States and the whole world, and we see things happening. We see Iceland, for example, declaring bankruptcy. And I hear from people that I know in the banking system that a number of the European states are going to follow them in bankruptcy. And when the U.S. currency fails, which I can't imagine that it won't, because we've printed so much currency and put out there that's backed by nothing, it's all beginning to come home to roost.
So I think part of what we're seeing is that they're trying to get back into an industrial production mode, and they realize that if they were to disclose these technologies, which it seems like they are, and there's very reliable information. I don't know exactly what you've heard yet, but it sounds very similar to what I'm hearing. And it's so close to 2012, which they think is global Armageddon anyway, so it's like, why do you guys even care at this point? Just release the technology, make some money, and be happy. In the meantime, the rest of us are going to be waiting for January 2013, in which it's not going to be all the doom and gloom that these guys think it is, and we're going to have a new world which is positive, because now we have an awakened public who realizes that we're not alone. The disclosure that we're talking about is going to change people's lives. I think the financial upheaval and the switch around that's going to happen in terms of the world economy and the exposure of a lot of this corruption, I think that's going to be changing people's lives. So we're at a very unique quantum moment in which everybody out there in the internet who's reading about this stuff, they're still largely in fear. And that's a shame, because what they don't realize is that by the simple fact that so many people now know about it, it's going to change. These negative elements can only thrive in darkness, and they have no darkness left to hide in. The light is now illuminating everything, and that's the light of truth, and that's where we're headed.